afternoon, everyone. This is Jared Rand, and welcome to the Global Guided Meditation Call for Sunday, July 17th, 2022, a little after 3 p.m. Eastern. We are always looking for something. We want to find the right teacher. But I say that you are the right teacher. The right teacher is where and what you are. Person, place, or thing is not the right teacher. Gather all courage. Take a jump. Even the dewdrops lipping from a lotus leaf trembles for a moment. Tries to hang on a little more. Because he can see the ocean. Once he has fallen from the lotus leaf, he is gone. And yes, in a way, you will not be, just as a dewdrop dissolves into the ocean. You will be gone. But it is not a loss. You will be oceanic. And all other oceans are limited. The ocean of existence is unlimited. So. One of the deepest truths is how deeply and intimately we are connected with each other. We are like one grand ocean of energy consciousness that appears to form itself as separate, individuated droplets of ocean water. Upon seeing the totality of our existence, it is blatantly obvious that we are operating under one energy source together. There is one common goal for all mankind. This goal is to merge and to be unified with the one divine God source. We are here to experience our true vastness, totally being the all-loving, ever-present cosmic ocean. It was apparent how clinging to any one thought of individuated separation is where all of humanity's feelings of powerlessness, poverty, and suffering begins and ends. So we are here to experience our true vastness, totally being the all-loving, ever-present cosmic ocean. It was apparent how clinging to any one thought or individuated separation is where all of humanity's feelings of powerlessness, poverty, and suffering begins and ends. There's a quote that Nisargadatta says, "Let go of the idea that you are not aware of yourself as the ever-present, changeless, inexpressible reality." What this means is that we are the ones responsible for creating the illusory experience that we are disconnected. Yes, everything is needed and perfect in our world. Even the wonderful illusion of separation is needed so as later we can create an experience of unification. I find that when we accept our deepest illusions, hardest feelings, and most challenging pools of separation, consciousness, that we are swinging in, we can one day relax and float downstream, merging back into the great ocean. We are always connected with one omnipresent self. We are the single God source that is weaving its ways through everything and everyone. It's just that the mind gets in the way. It wants something. It wants to be special, loved, appreciated, and accepted by the world. Most people don't believe this in their heart, and thus unknowingly cling to the known, trying to heal, liberate, or enlighten themselves through holding to certain thoughts and ways of thinking about life. When the mind becomes narrowed down any one path for too long, it becomes fixated and tight. Like a closed book, it cannot receive the new insights and abundance it could grow into. I find that the most enlightening truth we can handle is the one that greatly increases our power, wisdom, inner peace, and manifesting ability. As we evolve closer to the exotic universal truth of who and what we really are, the universe bestows greater gifts and more beautiful manifestations for us to accept and enjoy. Tricky part is that many of us tend to hold tight onto ideas of the past and future. What we think we know feels comforting, especially when met with the great ocean of unknowns. One of the most enlightened and highest experiences we humans can tap into is one that cannot be captured by the mind. Yet it reveals itself naturally and spontaneously when the mind is truly at rest and ease. Like the feeling we might get from a spontaneous breeze on a hot summer day. If we soften our hearts, quiet our minds, and become deeply receptive, we can relax into it and deeply enjoy it. The head alone is not enough. It is too small of a container to take in the outrageous experience of enlightenment. The greatest experiences can only be absorbed with an open heart and soul. When the mind is quiet, something inside us instantly aligns with this infinite spiritual essence that is inside everything and everyone. When we devote our lives to quieting the mind and opening our hearts to the divine source, we can feel, see, and know our real self. And what is our real self? It's that part of you who feels deeply, intimately connected with everyone and everything. It is so vast that it also has room for the experience that we are small, powerless, separated beings stuck in small pools of individuated consciousness. Yet it is so much more. The real self of omnipresent, vast as the endless ocean, extremely bright, beautiful, and so powerful that it instantly consumes all the other versions we make up of what reality is. A small warning to the beginner on the spiritual path. It can be quite challenging to just choose to step out of your old self and into this experience of being one with the ocean, because everyone around you won't agree or understand what you're going through. We have learned to lean on society for an understanding of who and what we are. Collectively, we humans have spent the past 2,000 plus years attempting to reconnect with this oneness through religion, because we have completely forgotten that we are already permanently connected to the God source. We have spiritual amnesia caused by a societal mind that was buried under the illusion that we are like swine, when in truth we are divine. Seeing through this great misunderstanding, we can be liberated from our collective consciousness. We can be free from all suffering, just like how the great masters have done through the ages. This collective awakening is part of the greater plan for our planet's spiritual evolution. As long as this belief in separation is the main way our society operates, we must each rebel against the norm if we are ever to find spiritual freedom. The belief system that we are not one being is the main reason why there is still war, poverty, and environmental destruction on this planet. The belief system that we are not one being is the main reason why there is still war, poverty, and environmental destruction on this planet. There still remains a belief that we are disconnected. This belief is always being projected, emanating from everybody's mind around you. What everyone believes you are most likely becomes what you believe is true as well. It's safe to say that every single person you have met in this life has been overly identified with this idea of a separate self, ego, and most likely will fight for upholding the belief in our separation until the very end. It takes a very clear mind, a courageous heart, and a determined soul to break free from the matrix of illusions the society is casting over our eyes. Observe the mind when thoughts come. Ask, to whom do these thoughts come to? Always watch, witness, and observe. Do not get caught in thought. Just surrender. Robert Adams. To be free from societal programming, we must choose to first be free from our ego. For our ego to even exist at all, it must hold firm onto some belief in its separate nature. If it doesn't do this, it will feel very lost, confused, afraid, and eventually give up. The ego must believe that it is a separate somebody rather than an omnipresent nobody. It's been trained to believe it is a drop of water and not the entire ocean as well. This individuated approach to life has a great payoff of creating a feeling of power, control, and direction to life. Without the ego, we might believe that all our outcomes and manifestations show up because we are the universe, and the universe is making everything happen. Without the ego, we would only have a feeling of love, abundance, true empowerment, real inner peace, and life. The greatest truth of can find is going to be the one that liberates us from this limited, contracted mind ego. The truth that frees our spirit is the one that brings forth the deepest feeling of joy into the lives of everyone around us. This truth is found from intimately knowing our real self, our permanent, unbounded, infinite spiritual nature. Only from exploring what it feels like to be at one with the ocean of life can we be free. This exploration is what leads us to find full self-realization and true liberation in the end. Here's a pretty radical experiment. That you can do with your life right now. I invite you to relax into this idea, feeling that you are separate from the universe right now. Rest deeply into the feeling that you are not at the core of the God Source right now. Start with becoming very curious about this idea. Feel into it with what it actually means until you make friends with it. The goal would be to let yourself completely melt into the feeling of separation and have zero resistance to it. With a little practice, you might discover what it's like to be connected within your experience of separation. The most healing, loving, magical, empowering source in the universe is in everything. So it's also in this experience of separation. The more you can relax into it, the more you can open your heart and quiet your mind to find that the experience of deep separation dissolves itself naturally on its own accord. Within the core of separation, we will discover the most profound, powerful, unstoppable, and intimate direct connection to this pure channel of intelligent conscious energy that breathes our very core. So dive into the deepest root of all your problems, faults, self-criticisms, personal issues. These are all where you feel the most separate and disturbed. Don't wait until it's the right time to do it. Just relax into them every day, whenever and wherever you are. Make it the number one priority of your life to find this loving divine connection that is already here. Trust that it is already here, even if you cannot find it right away. Act as if you are being held like a newborn baby in the most loving, caring mother's arms by simply resting into this feeling of separation. And you will make amazing progress on your spiritual path in a matter of minutes. You are the Supreme Being. And yet, thinking yourself to be separate from it, you strive to become united with it. What is stranger than this? Mahana Maharishi. I find that when one begins their spiritual path, there is this feeling that who we are is more unreal than real. What I mean by this is that it can be shocking to discover that what we thought we were our entire lives is not real. We truly have no clue as to who and what we really are. We are that which is beyond what the mind can understand. We are like the infinite edges of the most massive movie screen you can imagine, which has no end to the colorful creative possibilities it could contain. Our freedom comes from knowing our undefinable nature. When we realize that we are more like a blank, multi-dimensional creative canvas and not all the scenes and stories from the grand film, something inside of us feels very vast and free. So I invite you to sit back and take a good look at your life. Take one evening or to investigate all the wonderful, horrific, typical. Is there anything more than this? Ask yourself. What is my real self? Who am I without all these experiences? Do I still exist without these memories? And if so, what exactly is that? Our real self is beyond the greatest mystery anyone could explore. We are much more amazing and magical than this separated mind ego. We are bigger than all the life experiences that are projected onto us and into us. We are also much more than the pure witness, awareness, and consciousness. We are the totality of it all. We are that which life gets to play, dance, and sing all of itself through. The separate, limited suffering self is a comfortable habit, one that can be dropped by simply knowing how to stop identifying with it. You are neither consciousness nor its content. You are the timeless source, the supreme reality. Trust that, Nisargadatta. The discovery of the real self is a profound spiritual exploration. The realization of who we truly are is a timeless experience that eventually becomes the death of our ego and the beginning of real freedom. Ironically, it is our deepest, innermost battle for freedom, our resistance to total surrender, that perpetuates the ego. When we stop fighting, we begin clearly seeing. The truth is revealed when there is no more need to push, pull, prove, or fight for anything. When we stop the struggle against what is, the ego's clouded existence drops and something greater enlightens our way. As long as we continue to pursue this life, thinking that we are only a separate being, limited in power, love, abundance, and self-expression, we will get attached to goals thinking that they will make us happy. Be very careful not to think that these limited ideas have anything to do with who you are. The concepts of ownership, my life, my body, my thoughts, my stuff, my reality, and my mind are the only thing perpetuating our human experiences of suffering. Drop these ideas and see what is left. Nothing is actually yours, and everything is yours when you realize your real self. There's no more need for the feeling of possession when you see that we are infinite spiritual beings already intimately connected to everything. Why would we need to attain something when we already feel connected with it? Desires only form out of separation. When we sit and meditate on who we are, looking deep inside ourselves, eventually the mind will become quiet. When this occurs, we experience the truth that we are eternal beings filled with a great love, magic, lightness. By knowing this inside, we naturally start living it. We really don't have to be afraid of letting go and trusting our real self. The only source and the one source will move us, guide us, and shape our minds to reconnect with the hearts and souls of everyone. Living from this space, we finally reach a sense of peace with everything in our lives. Every day, we wake up and begin practicing being as vast and unlimited as the great infinite universe we are surrounded by playing an active role in this life, living out this realization in the sea of people around you, and something dawns on you that you are truly free. When you see the world clearly, that everything is an expression of you, the real self, you stop hearing what you don't want to hear. You stop seeing what you don't want to see. And stop feeling what you don't want to feel. Your mind is only fixated on the brilliant diamond of consciousness that it's found. You realize that the world is your mirror. Everyone is always reflecting back to you who you are. If you see an unhappy person, that person is inside you. When you're truly enlightened, the experience of the divine awakening being begins showing up in everyone. In the most interesting ways. You are in an ever-flowing river of gratitude all day long. So become courageous on this path. Take the risk to meditate. Quiet your mind all day long. Soon, you'll come to know that what it means to be self-realized. Remember to love yourself, worship yourself, pray to yourself, devote your life to yourself. Find joy in yourself because God dwells in you, as you. Robert Adams. I got one last fun little experiment for you to play with. Take 15 minutes to do this exercise. Hold an intention to move down out of your head and relax into your heart. Your head will be sneaky and try to take over many, many, many times. Yet, just being your energy, bring your energy into your heart space. Imagine your heart is your favorite flower opening its petals up to the great sun. Feel the light entering your heart. It is melting away any walls you have inside, around, feeling love. Now pick one person in your past who you are not 100% at peace with. Let these warm walls around your heart melt away, merge with the heart of this person too. Feel the sunlight is also inside the heart. Let go of whatever the mind judges about them. The goal is to be 100% at peace with this person for the rest of your life. When you can do this successfully with one person, do it with everyone from your past. Take this on as an invitation to be at peace with everyone on this planet in the past and future. Practice this and imagine how that will be. Healing simply happens when we are deeply authentic and real with ourselves. When we each stop repressing the truth of who we are and are open with how we are honestly feeling, our real self receives full permission to come out of hiding. Then it's easy to see the truth. We can easily stop being so invested in the opinions of others. We can no longer hesitate, recoil, and retreat in fear of another's disapproval. It's your choice. If you are ever free from the judger inside you who is not okay with others as they are and you as you are, there exists a deeper, mature part which can accept everything inside. Everything. We can stop trying to pretend what we are more adult-like than how we really feel inside. To identify oneself with the body and yet to seek happiness is like attempting to cross a river on the back of an alligator from Maharishi. Merging is from the highest path a person can take. Moving into your most enlightened self comes from seeing that everyone is you in disguise. It's up to you to remember who you truly are. With enough meditation practice, there comes this realization that you're in me and I am in you. The divine real self that we all are is impossible not to see. You realize it is everywhere and has no actual boundaries. It is not terrified of intimacy with anyone. It loves letting go, shape-shifting and merging with everyone in the universe. It knows that if you cannot see God in all, you cannot see God at all. So I hope you can find your real self. Eventually, the gold will sink in, and you'll naturally dive deeper within yourself and liberate yourself from the controlling, separating ego mind. Be gentle with your exploration. Be compassionate with what you find. This life is the deepest mystery. And the more we can uncover who we are, the more we see that we have just scratched the surface. And there is so much more there is to be revealed. In the midst of winter, I found there was within me an invincible summer. Albert Camus. So if you will, go to the place you're not going to be interrupted. I'm sure that we all are. And the first thing that we care to do is relax these bodies. Now, we know we're not the body. We know this. We're not the name, we're not the character, we're not the personality, we're not our belongings, we're not our status. We are the God source inside this body. We are the God in this body. There's no doubt. There's no gray areas. That's an absolute reality. And when we focus on our breath, easy and slowly in through the nose, easy and slowly out through the mouth, things happen quickly. When you're focused on the breath, you move into the now. And the now is all any of us have. And when we do this, we still the mind, right? We still the ego. the subconscious mind. The reason is we leave them alone. We don't engage them. We don't interact with them. Okay? And they don't exist in the now. So what are some of the other things that happen when we move into the now through our breath, which relaxes the body, which the body begins to let go of ridiculous, carrying stress for 20 years, right? About something that occurred years ago, and you're still carrying that stress. Is that making any sense to it? No. So we release it through the breath as the body goes into ease. Head and toe, inside and out. Each of us, or stress is the number one destroyer of these bodies. So doesn't it make sense that we don't white knuckle every single experience that we have with these bodies and drag it through year after year after year? Some of us will walk around with bunched shoulders and never even know it. Never know it. So someone might come up and say, how do your shoulders feel? Well, what do you mean? Well, do they feel tight? Do you feel kind of bunched up? Well, I never thought about that. Matter of fact, they are kind of bunched. So it's kind of like focusing on the breath and letting go of everything. Surrendering to everything. Not fighting. See, most of us will fight things. We fight them. And it doesn't mean that we know we're fighting them, but we fight them. Instead of just letting go and surrendering. So we kind of go into a stasis where we park ourselves in the now. Ego mind is not in control in the now. Not many of us can stay in the now for any length of period of time. We pretty much understand that because the ego mind wants to do anything it can to keep us out of the now. And this is a time to be always, to remind ourselves, be gentle, kind, generous, and humble with ourselves at all times. Be in the highest of the highest high, deepest of the deepest deepest, purest of the purest purest. Eternal gratitude. Love, peace, at all times. But it isn't difficult. As the ego mind would tell you it's difficult. It isn't. This way is we get tricked, right? We're in the now, and we float off. Now, we put out over 60,000 thoughts apiece a day. We got tens of millions and billions of programs that fly by like clouds in the sky. We have, that noise, chatter and stuff, but that's all wiped out in the now. It doesn't exist in the now. But you've been in the now and then you float off. We all float off. We just... And it's not a biggie because we've been able to identify. That's all right, Float it off. I'll focus on my breath and I'll be in the now. Every single time. 3,000% of the time, every time. You might find yourself focusing on the breath several times during the course of the day. See, because this is the only place that we're going to master the ego mind, subconscious mind. There's no other way. Okay? So you leave them alone and you watch them and you view them. You don't judge them. You view them and you start to see how they operate. Okay? So when you get an ego thought, you'll identify it immediately. That's an ego thought. I don't care to entertain it. Or like an ego response, right? Don't care to entertain it. You know, the feeling of wanting to beat somebody in something, right? Competition, beat them. Be at the top, be the one, be the winner. Some of you have probably witnessed in this life alone, or you've witnessed people that almost try to kill themselves to be number one. Right? All of that is ego. All of it. You know, or, you know, people wanting to be better than others. Right? That's ego. It's all ego. So it's amazing how we, you know, some of us, yeah, maybe we'll visit a little bit about it, but why would any of us, as we discover, you know, as time goes, we discover, the only place to be is the now. Pain and suffering, worry, stress and fear, anxiety, anger, hatred, revenge, envy, hurry. I mean, it doesn't exist. And then some people say, well, why is that? Why? Because we have been so manipulated into feeling comfortable in the ego mind. Pain and suffering. We're comfortable with suffering. Isn't that amazing? All of us, we're comfortable with suffering. Okay? In fact, a lot of us fear staying in the now. We fear it. Can you imagine that in eventuality, the civilization choosing collectively to go in the direction of understanding that we're one. All of us are one. Right? We're all one. And we're all God. And we're all love. But that's the reality. That's the prime understanding. Self-realization that we are the God. Now picture standing in front of three paths, right? And all of us are in the center path. We're in the now. And we see these three paths, and we see how the trees have formed a golden canopy over all three paths. You know, the leaves, shimmering gold, bark, and the branches. The paths themselves are a brilliant emerald green flaming grass. Now, we notice that yesterday, right, the past, that's really worn, that path. And tomorrow, the future, this path's really worn too. But interestingly enough, the path we're standing on now, it doesn't even look like it's been used. We know why, see? That's a big difference, that when you know why that is. Because the ego mind does not exist in the now, and it will do everything it can to keep us out of the now. And that's why those two paths are so heavily worn. Now, we all reminisce. We really do. And it can be random. You know, we have a subconscious mind. It's a grand recorder. It records everything and plays it back randomly. So we'll fall into a nostalgia, and there's something will trigger it, and they say, "Oh, that was really fun. I really enjoyed it. It could have been 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Could have been a week ago. It doesn't matter." And it's really fun. We wouldn't mind doing that again. We kind of use the past as our kind of a resource library. Okay? And we all have this great hall. So we'll go in and open the door, turn on a light. And when you walk into a room, as soon as you enter the room, your eyes will flash the ceiling and the walls. You're not really aware of it. Well, when you do that in the Great Hall, it is so vast that you can't see a ceiling or walls. But we'll go and we'll go into drawers and shelves, and we'll take out some movies and books and pictures all about our life experiences. Then we'll go sit in an easy chair, and there's a big white rectangle floating in the air, and we'll watch some of the movies and read some of the books and look at some of the pictures. And some of it might be a past life. You just don't know. And we do have fun. We might say, "Yeah, I did that. Yeah, I tried that 20 years ago. I did it that way. It didn't work. I'm going to see. Maybe if I try it this way, it will work." But we don't stay there. We'll enjoy ourselves. But then we'll get up and we'll put everything away, turn off the light, shut the door, and move forward in life. On occasion, we'll revisit it. Now, the other part, tomorrow, right, the future, we'll go there. I mean, we all do. It's it's that wanting to know. It's curiosity. It's a lot of things. So we'll walk that future path, and because ego mind's poking us and pushing us and prodding us and trying to hurry us, so we get caught up in that, and then we'll go into the future, right? And we seek external authority. We want answers. We want answers to things, right? So we'll seek out astrologers, card readers, numerologists, tea leaf readers, palm readers, clairvoyants, psychics, crystal readers, all kinds of external authorities. And we'll get a. We want an answer to one of our questions. When am I going to have enough money to enjoy my life? That's a big one. That's usually asked a lot. So they'll do their thing, and they'll give you the reading. They say, well, from what I can tell from the reading, you're in line for a major incoming amount of money. And you're looking at the next few weeks. So you get responses, and it really depends on how we respond to these things. And so the first person, they just did it for giggles. They had no belief that any of it was ever going to take place. No trust, nothing. So they go about their merry way. The second person will go in and they'll go, they'll fixate, they'll grip it tight, and they'll write it in their calendars, and they'll count the days, and They'll start forming expectations and attachments to the outcome of the money that's coming. And then the third person will take it with true trust, confidence in themselves and in the universe. And they'll make sure that it's as clear as possible so that the universe completely understands, and they'll let it go. They just let it go. Because they know it will manifest. Now, they're not attached to the time, like, well, it better happen on this day. Now, they're the ones that will manifest it. The one that fixates on it will push most of the time. They'll push it away. And of course, the other one, not a chance. See, we get caught up. It's just like in the past. Some people will stay in that past so long, and they do it unconsciously, but they'll bring that past with them into a future that doesn't exist. They'll create that future from that past. They'll relive that past in that future. And this is why they say no matter what we do, we always seem to end up here. So you can kind of see what happens, right? How we get a little, tricked here, sneaky here with the ego mind. So it's being aware all the time of what the ego mind is trying to do. And, of course, remember the ego mind is this incessant belief that we're separate. And see, in the now, there's no separation. Now, when we look at all of us, right, and we omit separation, so we're all one. Now, a lot of people can't comprehend that. Mind's too small for it. But it's the reality. Who creates? Who creates everything? Who's created all the physical vessels that inhabit and all the gods inhabit? As the one God. What about all these physical vessels? What about all the off-worlders, the galactic celestials, archangels, ascended masters? I mean, it's endless. All one. All one. Who decided collectively that this planet is to be liberated? Who did that? We did. As the one. We did that. We decided that it would no longer contain the pure evil, the dark matter, the lower dark matter frequencies. Who creates all of these different columns of light to remind us of things, the gods that we are? To remind us that everything is one. And to literally wake us up to the extent of understanding that there's no separation. There isn't. It is a complete illusion. And we get there by being in the now. We're flooding this planet. Hundreds of millions of us on and off world. We're all one, right? And we're flooding this planet with the highest of the highest high vibrational frequency. And it's unending. It's infinity and beyond. Whole life, the highest supreme value in the universe is. When you maintain that high of a frequency, cognitively. All of these lower dark matter, survival matter frequencies, pure evil, will vanish. You can't hold that form around such a high frequency. It's an inevitability. It's like the meditative sphere. Who created that? The God. You in that body. All of us. Period. Crystal Light Tower. All of this we create. And we can literally peek in anytime we choose. Through the now, focused on the breath, as a watcher, not a judger. Is just watch. Look at all the pure, deep, eternal love that's just saturating this planet. It's everywhere. Look at all the dark matter that's evaporating so quickly, flashing into oblivion that doesn't exist anymore. This is an ongoing process. It doesn't leave after the complete mitigation of all lower dark matter. It continues to intensify, expand, and grow. Because we're not going to be fifth dimensional and that's it. We'll go 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. And it'll keep going. So is the God that we are multidimensional? Is the God that we are multidimensional? Of course. See, we put everything on the body, the physical. And that's how we equate everything, the body, the physical. Instead of looking at the spiritual, the God that we are, in the body, knowing that we can be in any dimension as the gods that we are. Who changes the structure of the physical form to allow the God to be in that physical form in a higher dimensional frequency? We do. Take about 3 minutes in this silent time and the meditation to imagine all around you are divine beings of light. They are surrounding you with love, empowering thoughts, and absolute prosperity in every form. Breathe deeply for these precious minutes and feel these powerful beings are bathing you in their glorious, divine light of love. I'll join you in the meditation, and I'll return to close us out. Take an easy and slow breath in through the nose, and an easy and slow breath out the mouth. Be still. For today, recognize a sacred aspect in everyone you meet. Feel that underneath their ego trip and hurricane of thoughts is a divine being waiting to be seen. Know that you are completely perfect, whole, and at peace at the core. Just don't think you are. Know you are. At your core, you have the power to experience bliss anywhere and transcend any suffering that may occur. Be this divinity. It's as simple and sweet as recognizing that you are pure being. Take this with you for the rest of the day, into the evening and night, following morning. We'll return here Monday, July 18th, 2022, 3 p.m. Eastern, to continue our global guided meditation call.